Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss Pre-Market Report for Thursday, February 1st, 2018. I'm Frank Ochoa, aka Pivot Boss. Real quick news item here. I will be hosting a monthly market outlook this afternoon after the close at 3:30 p.m. Central, 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Everyone's welcome to join. I'll post out a link here. Same old bat time, same bat place. So if you want to find me here, 3:30 p.m. Central. Later on this afternoon, again, I'll post a tweet for that if you want to join me. We'll talk stocks, futures, Bitcoin, crypto, whatever you like, and we'll also look for some opportunities for the month of February. All right, here, taking a look at the ES real quickly here. We've been trending up, very, very solid trending behavior. You'll notice I added an 8-period EMA right there, so that's an 8-period pivot-based EMA. These right here, this is our 21, 34, 55. Those are our basic normal trending moving averages, but when things have gotten so intense, at times I'll use even more intense moving averages like an 8 or 13. 8 period is a really good moving average. You can see how prices stayed above it throughout most of the time here and is now holding. So basically we've pulled back. We haven't quite pulled back to our normal trigger zone, but we're below the 8-period moving average. We have clear resistance forming at 28.40. Above that level starts to squeeze and we could be off and running yet again. But again, 28.40 is the level to watch. If price pushes above that level and rejects hard, we could be looking at another wave down. And another wave down could take us as low as 27.60. That's the next major LVN below. This is the midpoint of last month's range. January range, that's about 27.79. That makes a lot of sense as well. So right now we're sitting right at the close. Here's the previous high and here's the previous low. Here's the midpoint of the previous month. 28.40 is going to mean a whole lot right now. If there's any failure at that level, we could be hunting a little bit lower and retesting the pivot range. Now keep in mind, we'll talk about this later on this afternoon as well. Uptrending market, higher value relationships month over month. That means every time price drops into the pivot range, it's an opportunity to buy for another return to highs. Very similar to what happened here, and this one barely missed it, but went up anyway. So we could be looking at a nice area of support here that's going to lead to another round of strength and perhaps capture that 2,900 and above. All right, so that's the ES. The NQ looks similar, very bullish trending behavior. You can see an LVN that's coming into play right here. That's about 68.75. This one's been coiling up at highs. Hasn't really seen a big pullback like the ES. If you want to call it a big pullback, everything is relative right now. But this is a very clear range here that's played out for the better part of 7-8 days now. And we've been in that range 68.90 up to about 70.50 for about 8 days. That's pretty tight. That's a really tight range right now. And again, anytime you have a tight range of this magnitude, there's a tendency to see a violation of both sides before you see a big move. For example, we could see a downside break aggressively, and then it finds support, turns around, and breaks true to the upside and continues higher. So again, right now, everything's focused to the upside. Your trigger zone's a little bit lower here. This is your midpoint of last month's range, your pivot range here. So again, any early weakness to begin the month could be an opportunity to really buy it and return it back toward highs. So that's the idea right now. We'll keep an eye on this one. If we take a look at crude oil, here's a look at crude. This one right here held off of that quarterly or monthly VWAP that we were talking about. I mentioned yesterday was right on monthly VWAP at the lows. Basically, the low tick was monthly VWAP, and that was the area that we had called out before right over here, which was also monthly VWAP and was also an LVN. So these two levels both receiving nice little bounces here. This one over here also bounced off the 63.75, showing some strength. So again, nice trending behavior. Pullback phases leading to another round of new highs and higher lows. That opens the door to pushing this thing to the next level up. So yesterday when I mentioned this thing could bounce, I mentioned 67 could be the next upside target. You can see right here 68 could even be in view as well. So right now early wave up. Now that doesn't mean intraday has a lot of pace and tempo at the moment, but we could see more strength out of this one as well. All right, let's take a look at gold futures. Another thing you'll notice on the charts is that I've added the FOMC key level from yesterday's market. I'll put a tweet out on that to give you all the levels, but it's basically the open price at 1 o'clock Central, 2 o'clock Eastern. In this case for gold, 1343.70 is that level, and we're chopping around it right now. With gold, we're really just kind of holding flat and sideways. We haven't gotten the lift that you would normally expect by now, and that might be, okay right now. I mean, 1375 is right up here. That is absolute true resistance right now, and we have gone about as far as we usually go before we get smacked down. So the fact that this thing is taking a little bit longer to try and squeeze, and may ultimately not squeeze at all, is playing right into about where we are at this level. We're really high up. We've already seen a multitude of squeezes over and over. So at some point, this thing has to give out. So 1352.5 is very important. Above that level could start to run those stops to try for 1375. Any failure to if it pushes above 1352.5 and starts to see rejection, we could be looking at an early push downward to begin the month back toward the 1317, 1318 zone. So that's something to keep in mind. Right now, this one's just kind of building out. I'd be cautious with this one as it continues to build energy. Now XBT, we got ourselves another key level from the FOMC here. The first one up here, the first one was 16,580. The second one is 99.20. Or is that 9? Yeah, that's 99.20. So 99.20 is the next key level. You can see right here. Here's the midpoint of the rejection day. And you can see we closed below it right away. And right away, basically on this day, we knew that the type of strength that we're generally looking for was not being found in this market after this rejection. And then on the next Monday, price closes below the mid right there again, is when we begin to wane in the support or defense of the bulls. And then you can see it just continues to go flat. And usually that suggests more weakness. You can see the PIMAs are still sloping down. Now we have a new lower value pivot range. So even if price were to bounce, it's going to be met with CLVN resistance, with pivot range resistance, with trigger zone resistance. There's just a plethora of resistance up there that's going to keep this thing flowing lower. So right now, the way that this thing has pushed through 10K and is currently taking the FOMC key level 99.20 offered, that all suggests more weakness. And at the very least, we come into 8,000. 8K could be ahead, but 6,700 is that next 50% expansion target. And so 6,700 is about where I'm guessing this thing could drop to. And again, once this thing starts to go, it could really pick up some steam and get there quickly. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this one plays out. 12K is still in view. So if there was a rejection of these lows, so here's the low right here, price is now below the low. We're now in a do or die territory as of right now to begin the month. It either has to go below this low because it's now broken that low and drive, or it's going to try to hold below the low and fail, in which case we're going to come up here, retest 12,000 and perhaps try again. So right now it's very important what happens here. Do we reject this low or do we continue lower? That's the only saving grace for bulls right now, is to reject this low and try to get it higher right away. Otherwise, this thing is going to continue dripping lower to 6,700. All right, that's it for now. Let's see how this plays out heading into the rest of the session. Take care and trade well.